Hello, you're watching a tutorial on finding an accredited calibration laboratory for reference equipment. AASHTO R18 has special requirements for measurement standards, otherwise known as reference equipment. The requirement is that they be calibrated by an agency that's accredited to ISO IEC 17025. A measurement standard is anything that is used to calibrate, standardize, or check other equipment in your laboratory. It is important to note when selecting a calibration agency that they must be accredited for the equipment you are having them calibrate for you. One mistake we often see is that the testing laboratory selects a calibration provider that is accredited, but not for the correct scope of equipment. We will briefly discuss how to review a calibration agency's accreditation listing in the next several slides. There are several agencies in the United States that accredit calibration laboratories. Each of these accrediting bodies maintain a directory of accredited laboratories. If you are located outside the United States, there may be other agencies in your region that accredit calibration laboratories. You can find an accredited laboratory by reviewing the directory maintained by these accreditation bodies. Many of these agencies provide search functionality to make finding a calibration agency that performs the work you need easier. Many also offer sort functionality so that you can find a provider that is within a certain geographical location. When reviewing a calibration agency's accreditation certificate, look for the portion of the document that looks like the table you see on the screen. This portion of the document details the agency's scope of accreditation. The first important column on this table is the parameter or equipment that the laboratory is accredited for. In this case, if this was the agency's entire accreditation scope, we could see that thermometers are not listed. So in this case, we cannot use this agency to calibrate a reference thermometer. The next column details the range that the equipment can be calibrated in by this calibration provider. In this case, we can see that this agency cannot calibrate thermometers at temperatures over 300 degrees Celsius. The CMC is an acronym that stands for Calibration and Measurement Capability. This is the lowest possible measurement uncertainty that an accredited calibration laboratory can achieve under ideal conditions. We can see in this case, for thermometers, that the laboratory has a different CMC for different ranges of temperatures. Here is another example of a CMC for calipers. We can see, in this case, rather than stating a value for the CMC for each measurement range, an equation is given. If we wanted to determine this agency's CMC for calipers measuring a dimension of 6 inches, we would have to use the equation to calculate this value. Keep in mind that L equals length in inches or millimeters, but the result is calculated in microinches or microns. In our example, 240 plus 4 times 6 inches equals 264 microinches. It is important to remember that the CMC is the calibration agency's best capability under the best possible conditions. Therefore, it is likely that the estimated measurement uncertainty for your device will be higher. Lastly, the comments section can provide you with additional information, such as the type of equipment used to perform the calibration or other special circumstances regarding the calibration. Once you have selected a calibration provider, it will be important to communicate with your provider regarding your needs. Let your calibration provider know that you will need an accredited calibration. Remember that you should let the calibration laboratory know the frequency that you require recalibration and the calibration points that you need. Also, let the calibration provider know ahead of time if you expect repairs or adjustments to be made. Also, if you plan on shipping the device, make sure that you communicate with your provider regarding how to ship the device properly to avoid any damage. Some calibration providers offer different levels of service. It is important to ask your calibration provider for an accredited calibration. Keep in mind that this might cost extra. This is an example of what the different levels of service offered by a calibration provider might look like. It's important, regardless of what the levels of service are, that you get an accredited calibration and that is listed on the calibration record. Also, make sure that all of the data is included on your record and a statement of estimated measurement uncertainty. And finally, when you get your equipment back, it's important that you don't file the record away until you have an opportunity to review the record and make sure that you got what you asked for. Make sure that measurement uncertainty is listed on the record. Also, a statement or symbol regarding the accreditation of the calibration agency should be listed as well. Make sure that the equipment is still in tolerance and fit for use, and that all of the points that you asked for are listed on the record. Make sure that all information that is required by AASHTO R18 is also listed. For more information on this and other topics, please visit www.ashtoresource.org. Check out our reUniversity page for articles, videos, and other helpful documents. Thank you for watching this brief tutorial on selecting a calibration laboratory for your reference equipment. If you have more questions, please email us at info@ashtoresource.org or connect with us on social media.